Civilizing the native, educating the nation. Next, in the earlier chapter, you have seen how British rule affected Rajas and Nawabs, peasants and tribals. In this chapter, we will try and understand what in head for the lives of students for the British in India wanted not only territorial conquest and control our revenues. They also felt that they had a cultural mission. They had to civilize the native, change their customs and values. Next, what changes were to be introduced? How were Indians to be educated, civilized, and made into what the British believed were good subjects? The British could find no simple answers to these questions. They continued to be debated for many decades. Next, how the British saw education. Next, let us look at what the British thought and did, and how some of the ideas of education that we now take for granted evolved in the last 200 years. In this process of this inquiry, we will also see how Indians reacted to British ideas and how they developed their own view about how Indians were to be educated. Next, let us look at what the British thought and did, and how some of the ideas of education that we now like to granted evolved in the last 200 years. In the process of this inquiry, we will also see how Indians reacted to British ideas and how they developed their own views about how Indians were to be educated. Next, the traditions of Orientalism. In 1783, a person named Williams Jones arrived to Calcutta in the appointment as a junior judge at the Supreme Court that the company had set up. In addition to being an expert in law, John was a linguist. He had studied Greek and a Latin at Oxford, knew French and English, had picked up Arabic from a friend, had and also learned Persian. At Calcutta, he began spending many hours a day with Pandit who taught him the substance of Sanskrit language, grammar, and poetry. Soon he was studying ancient Indian texts on law, philosophy, religions, politics, morality, arithmetics, medicine, and other science. Next, Jones discovered that his interests were shared by many British officials living in Calcutta at the time. Englishmen, the Henry Thomas, Shelleybrook, and Nathaniel Hyde were also busy discovering the ancient Indian heritage, mastering Indian language, and translating Sanskrit and Persian's work into English. Together with them, John set up the Aistic Society of Bengal and started a journal called Avasthi. Next, Jones, the Colebrook came to represent a particular attitude towards India. They shared a deep respect for ancient cultures, both of India had and the West Indian civilization. They felt had attained its glory in the ancient past, but had subsequently declined. In order to understand India, it was necessary to discover the sacred and legal texts. They were produced in the ancient period, for only those texts could revel in the real ideas and law of the Hindu and Muslim, and only a new study of these texts could form the basis of future development in India. Next, so Jones and Colebrook writ- went about discovering ancient texts, understanding their meaning, translating them, and making their findings known to others. This project they believed would not only help the British learn from Indian culture, but it would also help Indians rediscover their one heritage and understand the lost glories of their past. In the process, the British would become the guardians of Indian culture as well as its masters. Next, influenced by such India's many company officials argued that British ought to promote Indian rather than Western learning. They felt that institutions should be set up to encourage the study of ancient Indian texts and teach Sanskrit and Persian literature and poetry. The officials also thought that Hindus and Muslims ought to be taught what they were already familiar with and what they valued and treasured, not subjects that were alien to them, only them they believed could. That British hoped to win a place in the hearts of the natives. Only then could all allied rural experts to be the represents respected to the subject. Next, with this object in view, Madras was set up in Calcutta in 1781 to promote the study of Arabic, Persian, and Islamic law, and the Hindu College was established in Benares in 1791 to encourage the study of ancient Sanskrit texts that would be useful for the administrations of the country.